Ralf Friedrichs. I am an author, an addiction recovery coach, a life coach, a minister, and the host of this show, the Take Your Life Back Today radio show. You can see a video version of this if you go to YouTube under channel Take Your Life Back Today show. iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Music, Amazon Music. You can hear us any of those digital formats. Sometimes we miss God's provision because it's wrapped in a package that looks like a problem. You might be the weakest. You might be the loneliest. You might be in the lowest place of your life right now. But Jesus is calling you. Yes, you. You watching or listening to me. It's never fun to be in a setting in which you feel like you don't fit in. In some settings, no one may have any ill feelings towards you, and they may not tell you that you don't fit in, but you just can't get that vibe. Like me at a disco party, I stand out. At other times, you may not fit in because other people don't like you. They may resent the fact that you are there, and they might let you know, like people let me know when I dance. It's terrible. Listen, the Christians who received this letter from Peter that we now call 1 Peter lived in a setting in which they didn't quite fit in. Several important details about them made them different from the others around them. And for that reason, they were facing some persecution. And so in the very first words of his letter, the Apostle Peter wanted to remind them of a very significant truth. Ready? Here it comes. You may be rejected by men, but you are chosen by God. Chosen by God. Let's read the Apostle's opening words to these persecuted believers in verse 1. Let me clarify a few details about this opening verse, first of all. The locations that Peter mentions are not cities, but rather regions of the area that is now modern-day Turkey. These regions were made administrative districts of the government of the Roman Empire. You can think of it as if Peter had written to those who are in Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. So Peter was writing to believers in a fairly large geographical area. Peter also writes that they are exiles of the dispersion. That phrase tells us that these Christians were ethnic Jews. The title, the dispersion, was a technical title that is referred to the Jewish people who lived outside the land of Israel. So the recipients of this letter were ethnic Jews living in predominant Gentile areas, but nevertheless, religiously, they were Christians. As you can imagine, my friends, that fact made them outsiders to both the Jews and to the Gentiles around them. Gentiles were familiar with Jews and had come to tolerate them fairly well, but these Christians were a new movement, and many people really struggled to understand them. See, records from the early church tell us that Christians were sometimes accused of cannibalism because they talked about the body and the blood of Christ when they celebrated the Lord's Supper. Some people even called them atheists because they didn't have a physical statue of their God that you could see and touch. And of course, the morale standards were considerably out of sync with Gentiles around these Jews. In addition, these believers almost certainly would have faced rejection from their Jewish friends and relatives. The Jewish people regarded Jesus as a false teacher who was leading their brethren to portray their forefathers and the law of Moses. So these Christians really would have been on the outs with everyone around them. So, listen, Peter goes further. He wants to remind them that even if they are rejected by men, they are chosen by God. In translation, here Peter calls them elect, which simply means chosen. We are in election season in our country every once in a while, and that simply means we are going to, through the process of choosing our either next president, governor, senator, or congressman out of a pool of candidates who are running for the office. Now, if you have studied much of theology, you know that the doctrine of election, or presidential, as it's sometimes called, is very much a hot button issue in the world of theology. The fact is really quite sad, because the doctrine of election in the Bible is meant to be a great comfort to believers. It should be very encouraging for us to realize that our inclusion in the family of God is no accident, but rather it is in part of outworking of a plan that God had for us before time even began. So let's go back. Yes, it's you. If you feel that you are on the outside being persecuted and being looked at, God has a plan for you. God has a plan for me, you, your neighbor, other people. God has a plan for all of us. The biggest part of that plan is for you to accept him as your personal Savior. Let God guide and direct you each and every day. It doesn't matter what people say, point fingers at you if you feel like an outsider, because you have one thing worth more than anything else in the world, and that is a personal relationship with the Almighty Jesus Christ. Let that kickstart your day this morning. Let that make your day, a great week, and a great rest of your life. I always say at the end of my show, and have a great life with Jesus Christ in your life. Call me at 844-405-HELP. Together, you and I, we can help each other take our lives back. Be good to yourselves. Always be good to each other. Remember, a simple smile to anyone can change their day. May God bless each and every one of you. Do not allow other people's pointing a finger at you, treating you like an outsider, to be a cast to doomsday. Allow Christ to be in your life, part of your life, and make him your life. I have a book that I wrote out of my 7. It's called Start with Christ, Live with Christ, and End with Christ. Let that be your title of your book of life. May God bless you each and every one, and have a great life with Jesus Christ in your life. Take good care. Bye.